Good morning. On behalf of the English, Modern Languages, and Mass Communication departments, we would like to welcome you to our second campus Writer in Residence lecture featuring Ms. Delores Phillips. In a moment, Ms. Tiffany Mosley will introduce our speaker, and at the end of the lecture, a limited number of novels, The Darkest Child, will be for sale, and a question and answer session will be held. Following that, Dr. Hill will give his remarks.
My name is Tiffany Mosley, a junior English major here at Albany State University. I'm here to present our speaker for this morning. The Department of English, Modern Languages, and Mass Communication proudly presents you Ms. Delores Phillips. Ms. Phillips was born in Bartow County, Georgia, and currently resides in Cleveland, Ohio. She is a graduate of Cleveland State University, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in English. Her work has been featured in Gene's Journal and Black Times. She is also the winner of the Black Caucus Award of the American Library Association Best First Novel. Ms. Phillips is currently a licensed practical nurse and works with battered women and abused children. She will be here all week, and on Friday, she will be at Doherty High School. I found the book to be really inspirational and exciting. From the moment I picked it up, I literally could not put it down. I hope that each and every one of you would go out and read the book, and I promise you it will take you on a journey that you will never forget. Without further delay, please welcome to Albany State University, Ms. Delores Phillips.
Good morning. Okay, I'd like to tell you first, for everybody who hasn't already heard me, I'd like to tell you how I came about writing this novel. It started out as poetry, 500 pages long, rhyming poetry, line to line. I had put it down, left it in the basement for a few years, pulled it out, and decided I would try my hand at fiction. And this is what became. Tangi May, my main character in the book, the young girl, she's 13 when it starts off, and in the poetry, her name was Gussie May. So that is one slight change that I made as I changed it over to fiction. It tells about a mother with 10 children. This mother is ill. She's really mentally ill, but she's trying to raise her 10 children. All 10 of the children have different fathers. Tangi May, the 13-year-old, wants to go to school. Her mother wants to pull her out to go to work. And so her goal all the way through the book is, how do I stay in school? How do I survive this? She's living in Georgia. It's 1958. Jim Crow laws are in effect. She's dealing with racism, and all of this is on the outside. She's dealing with poverty because the family has nothing. They live in a house that's falling apart. It has a tin roof with holes in the ceiling. It rains. She sleeps on the floor. All of the children sleep on the floor, and the rain comes down on them. So she's dealing with this. She's dealing with hunger, and she's dealing with racism. None of this is as big a problem for her as dealing with her mother. So what I'd like to do today is share some of the scenes from the book with you. And as I tell it, I will let you know who's in the action that I read, because there's so many characters, like the 10 children. 2 of the sons, Sam and Harvey, are grown men when the book opens. So if I'm talking about them, or the oldest daughter who moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and came back when she thought her mother was dying, I'll let you know the ones that I'm talking about, okay? Now I have to catch my breath because I just walked a long way, but I'll be all right in a minute, okay? Okay. Okay, the first thing that I'd like to share with you is not about, I won't read the entire chapter. I'm just going to come in and give you a little bit about the mother and how she acts. And it opens with the youngest girl, Tangi May, the 13-year-old. She's not 13 in this scene. She's a young girl. She's 10. And she's coming home from school, and she's very afraid because another group of girls has jumped on her. And this is what happens here. It brings it back to her mind because she's having a conflict with her older sister, Tara Bell. So she's washing up, and she says, I stared at my reflection in the basin of water, remembering that day, the day that she ran, vividly, shuddering from the memory. I am 10, sprinting the miles between Plymouth and Stumptown, with sticks and stones pelting my thin winter coat, being chased by 4 girls who are no bigger or older than I. Pee baby, tar baby, pee baby, cry baby, they yell from behind me, and I run even faster. You better run, ugly, stinky tar baby, you better run. Their words hurt worse than the rock that draws blood from my scalp and the stick that bounces off my leg and does not draw blood. I run with fear pumping through my veins. My notebooks and pencils are scattered somewhere miles behind me, and I am trying desperately to reach the safety of my mother's arms, screaming her name in my flight. I round the bend, running from 5th Street to Pinion Road, and I see my mother. She is standing on the front porch, staring down past the field and directly at me. She turns her back and opens the front door. I think she is going inside, deserting me in the presence of my enemies. I scream for her again, Mama, Mama. Martha Jean and Tara Bell emerge from the house. My mother rushes them toward the road, and they obey. My warriors charge the battlefield without armor, attacking my predators, pulling clothes and hair and skin, drawing blood and screams of terror as I fall to the dirt, panting and crying. Above the noise of my pounding heart and panting breath comes the distinct sound of bone cracking. I turn my head slowly and see 3 of the girls running back toward 5, and the unlucky 4th sitting on the road, holding her right arm with her left hand. Tara Bell, that's her sister. Tara Bell circles the girl once, then turns her cold eyes on me. And before I can think, she rams a knee into the girl's face. Martha Jean, a long red welt running from ear to chin, helps me to my feet and delivers me into the waiting arms of my mother. Mama makes herself comfortable in an armchair and pulls me onto her lap. She strokes my hair, then wraps her arms around my back, drawing me closer to her heart. With her other hand, she motions to Tara Bell, and my sister steps away from us. Mama brings her arm around and under my thigh, pinning my body to hers. You a queen, baby, she says softly. We don't run from nobody. Nobody. Do you understand that? Yes, ma'am, I mumble against her breast. You gotta fight. Don't take nothing but swinging your fist. You understand that? Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna make sure you understand it, she says, loosening her grip on my thigh. Hand me that poker and hold her feet, Tara Bell. Tara Bell clamps down on my feet, immobilizing me. There is no time to cry out as my mother brings the searing fire iron down on my thigh. I swoon from the pain, and my mother's voice trails me as I enter into a darkness that is death and float deeper still into hell. I done branded you a queen, girl. Don't you ever run from nobody else, long as you live. Much later, the next day, or the day after that, my mother's face comes into focus before my eyes. She opens her mouth, and the strong smell of onions assault my nostrils. It wouldn't have burned you so bad if you'd have been still, she says. I remembered wanting to fade back into darkness, but not being able to. I would forever wear a brand on my lower leg that I am able to hide beneath a sock. Sometimes, when I am most afraid, I touch my scar to remind myself that I am not a coward. I am a queen. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what the mother is like and how this little girl thinks, how she feels that she's, you see a little bit of what she has to contend with. Okay. All right, so let me give you a little bit more about the mother. Okay, she goes into the hospital. She has her baby. The baby, she almost dies from having this baby, which is her 10th child. And she's gone for like a month. Excuse me. Okay, when she gets back and settles in, pots, pans, and bowls had been arranged throughout the house. First of all, let me say this. Did I tell you about the house already? Did I tell you about the leaky roof and all that? Okay. Pots, pans, and bowls had been arranged throughout the house to catch the flow of a cold, steady rainfall. The rain had brought Sam and Harvey, the two oldest boys, home early, just behind me, and Wallace, the youngest son. Tara Bell was already in, her white dress soaked and her hair plastered to her head. Someone, Martha Jean, I assumed, had placed the 3 kitchen chairs and 4 of the milk crate seats in the front room, making it almost impossible for us to stand by the stove to warm and dry ourselves. Our mother, in a faded pink house dress, sat in an armchair, her feet bare and her legs crossed, a startling contrast from the day before. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and her lipstick was smeared across her left cheek. She held a wind-up clock that usually stood on a shelf in her room. She wound it and placed it on the round table beside the kerosene lamp. Then she told us to be quiet and to sit down. "Satan's in here," she said in a hollow voice, her gaze darting about the room. "While I was gone, one of y'all let Satan in my house. Who was it?" Nobody spoke. "Don't sit there like idiots. I want to know who did it. Ask the dummy if she let him in here." The dummy is the deaf girl, Martha Jean. She calls her a dummy, okay? Harvey, who was sitting closest to Martha Jean, moved his fingers before her face, and she shook her head in fear and denial. Mama rose from the chair, walked over to the wall of coats, and took down the one Vilma Cooper had bought for Martha Jean. She flung it through the air, and it landed on the floor in front of the armchair where Martha Jean sat, holding Judy, the baby. Martha Jean curled over, shielding the baby with her upper torso. "Satan's in here," Mama repeated, with mounting fear in her voice. "Edna, little sister." Edna started to cry, and Mama spun around to face her. "Shut up. You want him to hear you?" she whispered, easing back to her armchair, glancing over one shoulder and then the other. She sat on the edge of the chair, poised to move quickly, and we followed her gaze to the leaking ceiling, to the corners of the room, and to the doorway that led to the hall. "Mama, you all right?" Harvey asked. "Shut up," she whispered, tilting an ear toward the hall. "Y'all done let Satan in here? I can't trust none of y'all." Her back stiffened, and she stared around the room at each of us. "What the Bible say, Harvey?" "Honor thy mother." Automatically, Harvey gave the correct response. It was instilled in him. "What it say, Edna Pearl?" Mama asked. "Honor thy mother," Edna whimpered. "That's right. And y'all don't honor me. Y'all done brought Satan in my house just as sure as I'm sitting here, and we got to get rid of him." Her voice became conspiratorial. "We gonna sit here real quiet so he'll think there ain't nobody's to get into." And the silence began. And the sound of silence was frightening. Rain pounded the tin roof like 1,000 demons marching for their master, and the roof yielded. Liquid curses splashed down upon our heads and into the waiting vessels. In the gray shadows of a rainy dusk, the clock on the table ticked rhythmically, but the hands never moved. They were stuck. The angel Gabriel called to me, Danji, Danji. His voice rattled the window panes. It whispered above and below the door frames and through cracks in the wall. I could not answer him aloud, but I thought, Satan is not going to leave. The only way to get him out is to invite God in, and God is not welcome in my mother's house. I am going to die, sitting on this milk crate in wet socks and slushy shoes. We shifted slightly and silently on our seats. We sighed, we sat. Darkness filled the room until I could no longer see Sam or Tara Bill sitting on their chairs. It fell heavily over Wallace, Laura, and Edna. Tick, tick. My fingertips vanished. The cold stove belched to the grumble of my empty belly and digested the last of its evening meal. Then from the darkness came an angry voice that I recognized as Sam. Look here, Mama. There followed the sound of an object sailing through the air. It crashed against the back wall and shattered. And the sound of silence was missing a tick. For hours we sat until the beam of headlights rounded the bend down on the road. Judy began to cry, and suddenly the kerosene lamp illuminated the room. I blinked and saw my mother, milky wet stains encircling her breasts, glaring at the baby with pure hatred. Satan, she hissed. He done crawled up in that baby. Got to get him out my house. It was then that the front door opened and closed. Footsteps sounded in the hallway, and the angel of mercy appeared, wearing a wet beige halo on her head and carrying a dripping suitcase in her hand. She dropped the suitcase and leaned against the door frame, then shook her head, making no attempt to conceal her disappointment. Mama, you ain't dead yet, Mushy asked. That's the oldest daughter that just came from Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, if there are any comments or questions so far, I'd be glad to take them. Nothing? All right, good. Let me tell you this. No, it's not good, but okay. Let me say this to you. This is a dark book, but it's not like that all through. All the way through, it's not dark. There are moments to laugh at. There are moments when the characters are happy, so you can be happy for them. There are a lot of things going on. And I'd like to do a lighter side, if it's all right with everybody, something that can maybe get a smile, because I'm looking at a lot of faces like, what is going on here, right? Okay. Okay, let me see. Here. Mama has sold Martha Jean, the deaf child, to a man. He wanted to buy her. She wanted to sell her, so she sold her. And she got a car for it. That's what she sold it for, okay? So she's got this car now. She's living on this little dirt road, nowhere to park the car. So she has her older sons out here trying to chop down this field, give me a parking space. Sam, Mama called out. I drove almost to Tennessee yesterday, went all the way through 5 counties before I turned around. Next time, I'm going all the way across the state line. Sam waved a hand. That's good, Mama, he called back. He was in the field with Maxwell and Hambo, using sling blades to clear a patch for Mama to park her car. They had positioned themselves at angles in order to maneuver safely out of reach of each other. Hambo worked the back, Maxwell had the center, and Sam worked closest to the road. What you writing there? Mama asked, turning her attention to me. A letter to Mushy, I answered. It's been a long time. It had been more than 3 weeks since I had written to Mushy about, I'm giving something away, Judy's death. And she had not responded to my letter, making me wonder if she had received it. A letter to Mushy, huh? Let me see it. You better not be saying nothing bad about me in that letter. Tara Bell stepped out onto the porch. That's an older sister. She was wearing blue pedal pushers and one of Sam's old T-shirts. It sure is hot today, she commented. taking a seat on the top step. It's Sama, Tarabelle, Mama said, forgetting about the letter. What you want from Sama? You want ice all over the place? I want a breeze, Mama, just a cool breeze, Tarabelle answered, tugging at the T-shirt. They sure making a mess of that field, Mama said. All I asked for was a little spot to park my car. Hay truck came around the bend the other day and nearly hit it. Now Sam got them boys trying to cut down the whole damn field. I finished my letter, remembering to tell Mushy how we were not allowed to mention Judy's name in our mother's house, as though she had never existed, and how much I missed my sisters, all of them. Just as I sealed the envelope, and the sound of shouting made me glance toward the field. Maxwell had dropped his blade and was running toward the road. I bet a snake done got a hold of him, Mama said. Out in the far field, Hambone stood with his blade held over his head, ready to swing. What happened? He called. Hey, Sam, man, what happened? Maxwell reached the road and began beating at the legs of his pants with both hands. Sam squatted to examine the pants, then said, I don't see nothing, Max. What happened? Rats. Rats, man, Maxwell said, when he was able to speak. A whole nest of them in a hole. I stepped in that MF hole, man. I ain't going back out there. Just some rats, Sam called out to Hambone. Hambone eased his blade down and made his way across the field. Max, he said, man, you about to give me a heart attack. Running like a bee from some rats? From some rats, man? Shut up. Maxwell snapped. One of them damn things was halfway up my leg. I'm telling y'all, I ain't going back out there. Both of y'all shut up, Sam said. Don't y'all see my mama sitting up there? Hambone and Maxwell glanced up, nodded their heads at Mama, then in unison said, sorry, Miss Rosie. Mama waggled her fingers. That's all right, she said. But y'all got to get them rats. If you don't kill them in the field, they get in your house, and I don't want them in my house. Tarabelle stood, tugged at her T-shirt, and walked down to the road. I followed, but stopped short when she marched into the field. I could see her bending and searching through the weeds. We were all watching her when she finally returned to the road. Did you see anything? Hambone asked. Yeah, she answered nonchalantly. One old fat rat dropping a litter. Y'all gotta get him, Mama yelled. Tarabelle returned to the house, and I went to see the litter for myself. A large field rat lay on his side, its gray, hairy body pulsating, its long tail curled inside the hole around slimy little hairless creatures that had slithered from its body. I gagged and backed away, and the eyes of the rodent seemed to follow my every move. Back on the road, I leaned toward the edge of the field, feeling sick to my stomach. Don't you faint, Tanjime, I heard my mother call down to me. Don't you dare faint. I ain't going through no more of your fainting. You had no business going out there, no way. I straightened my back and turned to face her so that she could see I had no intention of fainting. That was when I saw Tarabelle approaching the road again. She was carrying the iron skillet, gripping the handle with both hands as she moved slowly along. She stepped past us and back through the weeds, and my nostrils twitched from the burned, meaty odor of used and reheated lard. The squeal of the rodent reached us as Tarabelle tilted the skillet and dumped the hot oil. Maxwell swore and hung his head. Sam and Hambone stared silently at Tarabelle as she came back to the road, now swinging the skillet by one hand. You just plain hateful, Tarabelle, Mama said. Tarabelle kept walking. I thought you said you didn't want him in your house. Ain't that what you said, Mama? She returned the skillet to the kitchen. Then she came back to the field, picked up Maxwell's blade, and as hot as she claimed to be, began to swing with all her might at dry weeds. Tarabelle has a problem too. She's not crazy like her mother, but she definitely has a problem. She is being forced to go to the farmhouse where she does not want to go. She is the only one at this point working, so she's bringing in money to feed the entire family. And when she gets off from that, she has to go out to this farmhouse, and you know what she has to do at the farmhouse. And so she's very, very resentful. So this is her way of retaliating. Just, she takes it out on the weeds at this point. She takes it out on the rats at this point. She takes it out on whatever she can take it out and whoever she can take it out. And so I thought that was just a little interesting part to give you about Tara Bill, who my sister thinks is a very feisty character. I don't know. This girl she's stoic, and she remains that way for most of the novel, but still. And the last, before I let you go, before I open it up to questions, which I hope I have some, is the part where the car sinks. With a cup of water, Peckersville soil can swallow itself and make a puddle. These are the same young men, with more added to them, who were cutting the field, okay, but this is later. During an all-day rain, it swallowed my mother's car. I arrived home from the Whitmans on Saturday afternoon to find my mother pacing the muddy road below our house, swearing and condemning Velma Cooper to hell for all eternity. Out in the field, Harvey, Sam, Wallace, Hambone, Maxwell, and Skip Carson were attempting to push the car out of the thick mud and up onto the road. Anybody could see that they were wasting their time. In fact, the car sank a little more with each push. "It ain't coming out, Mama," Harvey yelled. "We're gonna have to wait till this rain lets up and dig it out." Mama stopped pacing and turned to me. "Will you just listen to that fool?" she said, then raised her voice and shouted out, "It's our car, Harvey. Drive it out, and don't get none of that mud in it." "Didn't you already try that, Mama?" Sam asked. "Ain't that how it got stuck in the first place?" "It got stuck because y'all didn't cut that field right," she answered. "Instead of paying attention what you ought to been doing, y'all was out there running from some rats. Y'all had laid planks like you should have done, the damn thing wouldn't be stuck. Now you shut up, Sam, and get my car out of there." "On 3, Harvey said, and began to count. They pushed, and all 4 tires disappeared with a sucking sound, sending mud splattering across the fenders and the hood of the car. "Well, I just be damn," Mama said, placing her hands on her hips and shaking her head in disbelief. Out in the field, 5 young men stood with their arms dangling idly at their sides. The 6th, Maxwell James, held his abdomen and convulsed with laughter. He lifted his arms and pointed to the sunken car, then he leaned forward. Each time he tried to straighten up, the howls would fold him over again. "Max," Hambone said to him, "Max, shut up, nigga. Ain't nothing funny." "Damn, man, I'm trying," Maxwell grabbed. "But did you see that thing? I mean, plop, man, it just went plop." Harvey kept his composure. He trudged 2 steps, then stopped. "Mama, we can't get it out," he said. "We done tried lifting it with planks. We done tried pulling it. We done tried pushing it. We. Mama shouted angrily. At that, Harvey chuckled, then they all began to laugh, hooting and howling in mirth and frustration. Mama stared at him. Rain dripped from her nose and chin. She slid a hand from her lips, made a fist, and knocked me to the ground. "Come on, Miss Rosie," Hambone said. "You don't need to hit nobody. We'll come back tomorrow and try again. If it's somewhere you want to go, I'll take you. How about it?" "I got somewhere to go, all right," Mama said. "I'm going to get Martha Jean. I ain't going to stand by and let that Velma Cooper swindle me. He can have that piece of junk back." Pulling myself up from the road, neither hurt nor embarrassed, I went up to the faucet in the yard to wash the mud from my arms and hands and legs. Mama, muddy shoes and all, stumped over to Hambone's car and opened the door. So that gives you a little bit of what Mama's like. She can be fun too, I guess. She can be mean and fun. Okay, I'm open to questions, comments. Anybody? Okay. Do I relate with? It would have to be Tangi May. Tangi May. She's the 13-year-old narrator of the story. If you want to know why, I really can't tell you. I think because she was the first character. When it was poetry, she was my first character because she loves to read. She reads even when she has to go to this little one-room library that they have in this town and get the librarian to pronounce the words for her. She's just a reader and she's a thinker. I really like her. Any other questions? Yes. Even in poetry form, I wanted to explore what might have happened to battered children in the rural South during that time, and I wanted to put layers onto the obstacles that Tangi May had to overcome. And so I gave her the dark color. She is the darkest child. I gave her poverty. I gave her an insane mother, and I gave her racism in the South. So. But that was it, to explore what might have happened. Just use my imagination and create what I thought might have happened. Okay. Yes.
The mother was their queen. You created her to have a mental illness. What was that mental illness?
What do you think it was? You think it was schizophrenia? Some people say bipolar. I never gave her a diagnosis. This is the question I get all the time. I never gave her a diagnosis simply because in 1958, what would you have called it? You would not have called it bipolar. You would not have called it schizophrenia. And so I said, okay. Even I was working in psych at the time, in a psych hospital. That's it. That's what we called her, crazy. So, you know, and back then, so I said, okay, stay real to the era. Do not stick her with anything. You know, just let the reader decide what they wanted to be. Even if you wanted to do it now, in 2007, give her a diagnosis, that's fine. But for 1958, I could not. They sent them, you know, here, I lived here. You know, I lived in Georgia at the time. I lived North Georgia. But we have had mentally ill people at the time, and they went off for a while, and sometimes for a long while, and they came back. And I think every town had somebody. So, and we didn't. And what did we call her? You weren't here. No, you weren't. That's it. Crazy. So that's why I left it like that, and I have to explain that all the time. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes. Yes, I have two. I probably shouldn't say this, but I've said it already. Yes, I'm working on two. One is right here in this area, but it takes place in the 1930s, and I'm really into that one. Yeah, and then I'm doing a sequel to this one. Anything else? Okay. I have truly enjoyed you, enjoyed your attention. This is the quietest campus I have ever been on. I was telling the students earlier this morning, maybe I have to start using sign language, which I learned so I could communicate with Martha Jean in this book. Speak to me. All right, thank you.
I know everybody is ready to go, so I shall not keep you